Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And this is me back here in the hot seat for the first time this month, as Xanta is now gone. And I'm happy to be back, and it's good to be back, and it's good to do a live stream. I'm here with Cousin Cheeto, and we're here to talk about Willow, Episode 7, Prisoners of Skellin. Is that how you pronounce it? Skellin?
Skellin is kind of how I took it. Yeah, that's how
Yes.
I thought they said it.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Jim. It wasn't a vacation. I was locked in the basement, and thank you very much, Daniel Vance. With the applause, and I'm going to miss Xanta. Yeah, don't worry. Once a year you'll get him back. Before you know it, it'll be December again. Anyway, um, we started to get into the thick of things within Willow. I thought this was an okay episode personally. Um, yes, we were in the mines of Moria, as Cheeto told me, before we started streaming. You can see the resemblances of Lord of the Rings more and more with each episode. But I was kind of disappointed with the height of these trolls. I was like, bloody hell, they shot up in height, didn't they? I mean, trolls are always known to be short creatures.
Well, trolls. I mean, trolls in the Willow verse are. I mean, if you watch the original movie, the trolls
Hmm.
were always those big Wookiee looking. So I mean, trolls in the I'm calling it the Willow verse. At least in the original movie, they were nothing like trolls in like Tolkien lore or even in Harry Potter lore or anything like that. So I mean, yeah, it's a bit different, and it's a definitely, as I said, they're like a mix between like a Wookiee and a human. You know what I mean? Like they're. It's a very interesting take, in my opinion.
Well, and also that these trolls they happen to be albino as well because they look very different to the trolls in the movie because
Yeah, because they all had black fur in the
yeah,
movie.
they're black fur and these guys are white furry guys as well, so that was a bit unusual. What do you think of this episode, Cheetah?
I thought it was okay. I wouldn't say it's anything to write home about. I mean, it's definitely the Minds of Moria episode, in my opinion. Um, some good. I think there was some good work here by a lot of the characters. I feel like the characters are starting to settle in their roles. Um, I'm kind of ready for Kit to die. Honestly, I
Really? Kid to die?
yeah, I'm kind of done with her shenanigans at this point. I liked her in the beginning. I honestly liked her, but the past couple episodes, I've really started to disdain her. Um, but it's actually been a real role reverse because I actually hated what was it Alora Dannon in the beginning, and Kit I was the one like, oh yeah, I really like this character, and now it's like flopped. It's like I'm liking Alora Dannon, and Kit's just kind of like, I'm like, oh god, go away. So
Okay, that's a bit of an unusual turn. It was actually good in this episode to see Eric because he kind of feels like a forgotten man at the moment. He's obviously on this in this part of the world that we're unfamiliar with. Apparently, he's on the other side of the world, and it was good to see him start. And one of the things I did like about the beginning of this episode was that you got this mystical, magical door, and it's saying, "Come inside." Come in, and all this sort of stuff, and he's going, nope, 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 nope.
yep. I did. I thought that was great. He's like, nope, not going towards the creepy door, whisper my name. Nope, nope, nope. Yeah, I really
And
did. I really did enjoy that part. I thought it was great.
I was also thinking to myself, how long's he been there for? Like,
I think there's a bit of a time lapse because I think honestly, like the events of him wandering around like that whole area, like because it seemed like a lot of time passed in that one scene where he'd been wandering around. I feel like that honestly took place like during everything that's been going on up to this point. So I don't know. That's kind of how I took it. I mean, the him wandering in the desert kind of paralleled with their journey on the other side, but they just chose to tell us this side of the story at the end of this episode. And he finally got back to the desolate city and found the lady, and now they're kind of like both caught up to the same point. Kind of. I don't know. That's kind of way I took it, but there's nothing really to prove that point though.
Cyrus was played by the same person who played Colonel Akbar in Rise of Skywalker. Tom Wilton loved his banter as Saris. Colonel Akbar? Oh, that was the son of Admiral Akbar, wasn't he? Yeah.
I don't know. It's a trap.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
No, but they killed off Colonel Akbar they killed off Admiral Akbar in Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. What didn't the original voice actor died, I believe, and that's kind of why they did that. I thought.
I'm not sure, but from what I've learned, you can like Slinky being the main example from Toy Story. I mean, the guy who does his voice, you wouldn't have realized the original voice actor had died in Toy Story 4. So they can be replaced. I mean, Kermit the Frog as well. That used to be done by Jim Henson. And honestly, like the person who does Kermit's voice now, as well as various other characters in Warner Brothers cartoons and Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all that shit. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit more about this episode. So, one of the things I found a bit weird is that okay, fine, we get the trolls and they all go in there and stuff like that, and I'm very happy watching the second time. They did mention that the rest of the people who were kidnapped from that village are not with them. They've been taken somewhere else. Only Kit and Willow have been taken to this particular place. But when it came to their rescue, it was only the Scooby Gang themselves and Scorpio, or what the hell her name was, from the village. Like, where's everyone else? You got a whole fucking crew, what I mean, of badasses. Why? And, some of the people from your group have been kidnapped. Why the fuck is it only the newcomers and the leader of the pack at the gates? It should be a whole fucking army of villagers ready to rescue.
I think they wanted. I think they wanted. And I get what you mean. Like, I agree with you, but like, I think their mindset of it was in the show was they want to sneak in, so they want it to be low key, so they don't want it to be a big party. Even Borman said it in the beginning. He's like, one of me can get in, maybe two, but not like five of us. No, that's draw too much attention. Even though they do.
Don't get me wrong. You take useless Graydon and green Alora, who can't offer much. Like surely you need to take a few more brutes with you.
As I said, I agree, and especially since the fact that they split apart as soon as they I know that Graydon kind of gets pulled away, but it's like then what's her name, Scorpio or
some shit like
that.
I can't
remember. She goes off on her own. Borman goes with Jade and Alora. Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, it's like there are some decisions in this series that do kind of frustrate me. I do want to point out Daniel Vance's comment here that I did notice that Willow finds himself with the daughter of Mad Mardigan just as he first found Mad Mardigan with an imposter Mad Mardigan in the next cage. So obviously Christian Slater, which I was expecting a little bit more of, but okay.
I think we got a decent amount of him. He was the special guest star of this episode, and
I saw him on the cast list for before the show even began, and I was hoping we'd get more of him throughout the series. I like Christian Slater, and I actually like him a lot in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves as Scarlet.
Is it Rob Scarlet?
It's like Rob. I can't remember. I just know it was Scarlet, but in Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, I liked him in that movie. So I've always been a champion of. And
watch True Romance if you want to see Christian Slater's best movie. And I'm really hoping Daniel Vance has seen this. It's a Tarantino film. Oh no, it's Robert Rodriguez Tarantino. Tarantino wrote the script. Robert Rodriguez directed the movie. Watch True Romance. That film is one of my favorite movies of all time. Anyway,
he was also in Star Trek 6. So
yes, he was. Yeah, and Daniel Vance, tell me you've seen True Romance. Please tell me you've seen True Romance. It's such a good movie, man. Like the cameos in that film are fantastic. And Val Kilmer's in that movie too, by the way. He plays Elvis. He plays Elvis in the Christian Slater. He has he talks to himself, and when you hear him talking to himself, his conscious is Elvis Presley. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Daniel Vance has seen it. He says True Romance is an absolutely brilliant film, and you're correct. It is Slater's best. Yeah, I have not seen it, so I will probably check it out.
Yeah, and Gary Oldman playing a white Rastafarian. Gary Oldman playing
Gary
a white.
Oldman, yeah, I love Gary Oldman too. Oh yeah,
He's so good in that, and you've got like people like Samuel L. Jackson in it before he was famous, you know, and like like there's a scene between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper. It is
God,
so
what is this movie? It's like the what is it, the Valentine's Day movies or New Year's Eve or New Year's
it
Day
made
movies or whatever. Like
but so many of these roles are cameos.
that's what I
But there's
mean.
a
Like yeah,
yeah, and there's a scene between um Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper, and it's powerful stuff. Um anyways, anyway, let's just get back
let's
on track
yeah.
here.
Well, let's just talk
Yeah,
about True Romance for another 30 minutes.
yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right, Daniel Vance. It's one of the most underrated films around, and it doesn't get enough praise as it should do. Also, like James Gandolfini before he became Tony Soprano and all of that, there's a really good scene with him and Patricia Arquette. I mean, there's so many good scenes in this film. Like, oh my god. Anyway, the special guest star of this episode is Christian Slater. He pretends to be Mad Martigan so that they would leave the real Mad Martigan alone. And obviously, him being in that cage was a callback to the movie when we first meet Mad Martigan. He's in a cage as well. And our group split into two now, obviously with fake Mad Martigans whose real name is Allagash, and Willow, and
Sounds like something you would throw on your corn dog. Allagash.
Yeah, and Kit, and this is a bit of a Kit episode, so to speak. She's kind of like wondering what the fuck's going on throughout this whole episode, as well as Alora, because the moment Alora is in this cave, her mental attitude, her mental breakdown, and like she's almost like what's the word? She's almost passing out to a degree. She's very much succumbed to the elements of this cave.
Well, and I think there's an evil element to the cave that is affecting her because of who she is too. I mean, I think there's a lot going on. Also, when after they do their escape, remind me there's a real there's a reason why I don't like Kid in this episode, and it's just. But keep going. But when we get to it, just I got to try to remember to talk about it because it really frustrated me about this episode.
So we finally get to see some of the trolls being themselves, and the guy goes, "Hi there, how you doing?" You know, just like what the.
I mean, I didn't mind if there would be like one of them like that as like the ambassador to like the humans or whatever their names are in this. I don't know what they're called. But like all of them are like that now. Like, oh, they gifted us the education. I'm like, oh, great, public education for the trolls. Great, here we go.
Have you? Here's another callback. There's a movie called The Time Bandits, and in that movie, the Time Bandits, they go back to Sherwood Forest, and they come across Robin Hood, who's a very polite guy, but the people around him, his merry men, are ruffians. So like they would like knock people out and punch. It's just very funny. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit with the way this particular troll was, who was very softly spoken and very eloquent, and it was just really, yeah, it was something they thought this. They probably thought this on paper. This probably sounded like a good idea, but fair enough. So the Alora, Borman, Graydon, Jade, they jump these guys who are making this sort of primordial soup, so to speak, this golden liquid. I think they turned the people into this liquid, which gives them the life force.
That's what they inferred, and I'm like, is this like a Brother Blood from Titans type of thing, where they're like all kind of hanging there and bleeding out this orange stuff, or like do they kind of mush them? Like, is it like grapes making wine? Like, are they kind of mushing them in there? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. We never really got much elaboration on that, but they have to wear these special suits, and so they disguise, which is kind of convenient that they have to wear these suits so they're able to disguise themselves. So now Daniel Vance is jumping ahead here. I had a problem with Kit taking the sword. She knew her dad would leave it, so it must be there for a reason. Her removing it was the key to a door opening, and what we see with Eric. Yeah, I think there's. It might seem like that. I'm not so sure. Right? So I know what you're talking about, and they felt like there was a correlation to it. Who knows? That might have been them taking a shortcut to see Eric, but then the show would be over. So it doesn't. They don't feel like they're any. We've only got 2 episodes left, I believe.
I was about to say we don't have a lot. Like I was kind of hoping by the end of this episode they would at least be where,
Eric is.
Where Eric is. Like not necessarily finding him, but like getting at least at the end of this episode to the place. So then the last 2 episodes can be focused in that place and finding Eric and defeating.
They are theoretically not that far from him, if that's the case. What Daniel Vines is suggesting, they're still in the cave. You know what I mean? I mean that's where the episode ended.
But Eric is like across the shattered sea. They still have to get across. I mean, it depends on what their definition of shattered sea is. So it's like, is it like a big ocean? Is it just like a pond? Why is it called the Shattered Sea? And I know these are all answers will get answered, before the end of the series probably. But I'm still just like, I really kind of hoped at the end of this episode we'd be where Eric is and we'd get to learn more about this kind of ancient civilization because that's what it looks like. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, keep going, Sam.
No, it's fine. So during the course of the rescue, Laura drops the wand, and because Graydon was randomly picked by the trolls as he was dressed up as one of the suit guys, he got told to do some sort of mean. Hey guys, stop it! Oh, God damn it! I'm sorry.
Your conglomerate of birds over there.
Yeah, he got told to go somewhere else, so they left it behind. It's funny in a way because we see our gang fighting people, but all of a sudden, and we see Alora and Graydon having a chat. But when it comes to this group of trolls, they don't fight them; they just let Graydon just fuck off with them. It's just a bit weird. And Graydon's got obviously Willow's staff. I don't even remember Willow getting kidnapped, by the way. I just remember Kit getting kidnapped last week. But okay. So we lose the one.
I'd have to go back and watch it again. I thought that too. I'm like, I don't even remember. Yeah, because Kit got. This is like the second time Kit's been kidnapped, so I got to make sure I remember.
No, Laura got kidnapped initially.
Oh, that's right. Laura got kidnapped the first time. That's right. Oh my god.
Anyway, Kit is able to break out from her bonds when she was just about to be tortured, and then she helps Allagash escape, and then Willow escape. And I like that. I like Willow, like he says to that troll, "Hi there, where's the loo?" And then boom, he gets knocked out, and then for good measure, Kit kills the troll. I love it. And there was actually a lot of death in this episode, which I will get to a little bit later. But eventually, we before like our gang actually meets up, because I kind of knew that they were going to meet up at some particular point. We hear a little bit more about Borman from Allagash, because they knew who Borman was, and apparently Borman sold them out. And then as we cut to Borman and them trying to find the gang, we find out. We find out that Borman is not necessarily looking for the rest of the crew. He's trying to find that magical armor. And then
I mean, it tracks for his character, but it's just I kind of eye rolled when that happened. I'm like, okay, here we go again. Borman's lying to get what he wants, and he's gonna try to smooth it over with smooth talking. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Like this character's a one trick pony in my opinion.
I was actually thinking to myself, damn, maybe Cheetah was right when Allagash mentioned that he was a sellout, but I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding regarding what they both thought of each other. But eventually, Allagash and Borman, they do catch up. They do meet each other, and then they have one of the most shittest fights ever. It was so terrible.
Yeah, they were like in each other. Yeah. Oh my god! I was like, please stop, please stop.
Exactly. Now Borman does feel. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, actually, we passed up one of the parts that I was going to talk about. I don't understand, like, why did Kit all of a sudden become this doughy-eyed, stupid girl? Like, because she gives the little, like, she has that sledge, that mace in her hand, and obviously the Christian Slater, what's his name, Allagash. Obviously, he's not very good about killing. Why would Kit give him the mace? Why would Kit just not go and kill the troll? She may not be as good as Jade as kind of inferred, but like she's still a decent fighter, and she's willing to kill, obviously.
She killed
So
the troll.
no,
Oh,
Christian
the other
Slater
troll.
went
Yeah,
and
yeah,
killed the
yeah, yeah,
troll,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
why? Like, and just that look on her face, like that doughy-eyed, like Elora Danan look. Like that's what I say. Like Elora Danan looked better in this episode than Kit did, and the more I learn about Kit, the less I like her. I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I don't.
I think when it came up to like stealth kills, sorry, I think Allagash is. I mean, he's the seasoned fighter, isn't he? Yeah,
I mean, but he was barely able to walk on his legs moments before that.
yeah, fair enough. And also, he has two eyes. For some reason, he wears an eye patch, even though he doesn't need it. But okay, so I do apologize for my birds. So they do meet up. Borman and Allagash have a stupid fight, and then some sort of resolution comes to that regarding what really happened. Totally irrelevant, but they are looking for this magic door. Borman can't find it initially, but Allagash knows where it is. Very Goonies like, very Temple of Doom like, you know what I mean, with the lever and stuff. And they open up the door, and then we find a secret passage. Kind of reminds me of that scene from Last Crusade with only a penitent man can walk, or was it something like that? With the magical footpath and
it's the
the leap
angle
of God, the
of
leap
the
of God, or
bridge.
some shit. Yeah, and so they find this, and then they end up in a section which was very much resembles being in a computer game. It really does.
Because I was wondering if we were going to get a Wizard of Oz moment in this part.
I was getting that Wizard of Oz vibe as well.
Because it's like, how is this talking to them? There's got to be somebody there. Like, maybe it's magic. Okay, whatever. But they didn't even explain it. It's just like, and you got like the music and everything, and I'm like,
okay. like being in a casino almost.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah,
what is going on here? Like, what? And I was waiting for that door to open, and then like a what's I don't want to call them a peck because that's derogatory for them, but like, what is it? What are they called again?
Wait! Oh, Jesus Christ! Wait, come on! Stop it! Sorry. I need to put them to next time. I'll put them to bed before Dakini. Dakinis are humans, aren't they?
Yeah. What is Willow? Willow is a
Elwyn or something like that.
Yeah. Because he's the chief Elwyn. Anyway, so I was hoping it would be like an Elwyn or something. You know what I mean? Like somebody back there who's just like pulling the strings and all that, or maybe it was just like another troll that was being stupid or whatever. But it's like, no, it's like they don't even explain it. It's just this casino temple. What is it? What was that show called on Nickelodeon? With the temple dude that talks. Do you remember that show?
I'm not sure.
What is it called? Okay, keep going. I'm gonna look it up.
Anyway, the point is that they have to answer a couple of riddles.
Yeah,
First one they get straight away, but the second one takes them a long time to figure out. But eventually they get it as well. Oi, come on, Gunner! Jesus Christ, you're loud. Anyway, and then the door opens up. Bloody hell, mate! You're trolling me. You're trolling me, man. You're trolling me. Anyway, yeah, they end up. I sound like I'm in the fucking jungle. Gunner, it's 11. It's almost midnight, man. Okay. All right.
It's called Legends of the Hidden Temple. It was an old. It was an old like kid American Gladiators type thing. And
sorry, one second. I got to do something about it, man. 1 second.
Okay. But yeah, I definitely with this whole part, I got like definite Zam, I'm muting you just so you know. So I definitely got Legend of the Lost Temple or Hidden Temple or whatever it was. It really just Daniel Vance says the voice of Mad Mardigan was done by Jack Kilmer, son of Val. Nice. I did not know that. I mean, I figured I didn't. I don't know if Val Kilmer has I know he has a trach. So I didn't know if he still had his voice. You still have your voice when you have a trach in. But I didn't know if he had it or not. I don't know the severity of his.
That was really good to hear about Jack Kilmer. I remember when I had Joanne Wally in my car. she told me to keep an eye out for her son, Jack Kilmer. But this is probably the closest I've ever seen him or heard of him being in anything. So as I
I
said earlier,
honestly,
that yeah,
I honestly thought that for a moment when he said his name was Mad Mardigan, until we saw Willow's face looking at him, like what? I honestly thought they might have recasted Val Kilmer
recasted, yeah.
because the hair was kind of right, and stuff like that. But like, I kind of figured it wasn't because the way Willow responded. So I'm like, okay, he's lying. But at the same time, I was just kind of like, I don't know, because technically this takes place. What is it? What did we say? We figured it out like a couple episodes ago. This takes place.
But it's only, even though like it's like about 35 years later in real life, it's really like only 20 years or so
Yeah, it's like
later.
20 years or less in
Yeah.
the Willowverse. So that's why it's kind of like, I mean, Christian Slater could be, obviously an older version of Mad Mardigan, but recast. And honestly,
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't hate it, but at the same
it's not
time,
it's not just that, but like Kit knows what her father looks like. He only like, yeah, like he wasn't like he didn't abandon them at birth. He was with
yeah,
them as they were kids, so she knows what her dad looks like, and that's not her dad. But
she did look at him though,
okay,
like she did look at him like she was questioning it for a minute though. Like I'm like,
yeah,
that's why I was like, wait a minute, does she know what her dad looks like? And I was trying to think, and when I saw Willow's face, I knew that he was lying because I'm like, well, Willow would know, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So
But so like but finally the door opens, they go, and then they run in there like they're possessed to get, but but both Borman and Allagash, they want that armor, don't they? And they get the armor. It looks flimsy as fuck.
yeah, it
You
does.
know, and apparently Allagash also gets the Lux, which is the key to the armor, and then he runs off. And then we obviously see they have the Jack kill the Val, the real Mad Mardigan moment with the sword and stuff, and then we Kit's being almost transfixed by it by telling her to follow the voice and save him and all of that, but she doesn't, and they end up leaving the treasure trove with the sword, and then they have to deal with the trolls, and then we have a big fight with the trolls, and we see like a few throat slits, which is kind
Yeah,
of nice.
I saw that. We didn't see any stabbings. I was watching for stabbings, but we did
No,
see a
we saw
couple.
we saw a stabbing. We
Was
saw
there a
a
stab?
stabbing.
Oh, there was. That's right. It was
Yeah,
Jade.
and I don't know who it was, but I love a good decapitation. Like you give me like and I think because they're trolls and they're not humans, it's like all right, Disney's thinking, yeah, fuck them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean that's what I figured too. Is like, yeah, they were like, well, these are trolls, and they don't look human, so we're okay. We're okay.
Yeah, exactly, and they're bad people as well, so they got it coming and all of that. And then we get a Goonies moment when they escape. They go down the little hole in the wall and stuff like that, and they all pour out. The only person who doesn't go with them is Allagash. He stays behind. He gives the armor to Borman because apparently maybe Borman might be worthy. Allagash isn't, which is why the armor didn't save him when you got fatally wounded, I believe.
Well, my question is, if he's not worthy, how did he pick it up?
No, this is not Thor's
But
hammer, but
I know.
but but I think it's about whether it works on you or not. But nevertheless, Jesus Christ, I got a fucking Avery in my room. Anyway, he gives the armor to Borman. They all fuck off. Allagash stays behind, and then he starts trying to fight them in the most stupidest way possible. And
I don't know why he stayed behind. When you can pull that gate closed, like I mean, it would still take them a minute to pull that gate up. So why would he not get on the other side, pull the gate closed, and go down and save? Because I mean, Kit was still there. Like it's not like he bought them a ton of time. Like
he had an obligation to his best friend to look after his daughter. You know what I mean?
That's why I was kind of sad. I'm like, come on, Christian Slater. I mean, at least give me in the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you believe Borman is truly a traitor, then surely you need to be there alongside them, But okay, so yeah, he's done. He was suspicious. Jesus Christ, mate! You are one hell of a noisy little fucker, aren't you? I only had him for about a week. Anyway, so we then get them walking over this sort of golden pond, and I like the way the rocks just smash through it, and then it just closes up again, which was
I actually wanted to coin a phrase with this. I want to call it magma ice, because it looks like magma, but it's also looks like ice.
well, I've played a video game called Gears of War. I'm not sure if anybody else has. And in Gears of War, there's this fuel underground called emulsion, and that's what it kind of looked like. The whole setup, it looked like where the emulsion comes from. And I actually thought it was lava or something like that. And Kit confronts Alora by saying, "Look, you're the one who's fucking everything up with your emotions. Get your emotions in check, and then maybe these tremors will stop happening." Alora, being this unstable person who just can't figure out how to do it, and then by stalling as much as they have been, eventually a rock hits the lake. Kit falls into the hole. The hole itself immediately closes, and then she's stuck under there, and they're using all their magic power. And luckily, that's where the wand was. By the way, the wand that she dropped earlier, she happened to come across it again. Yeah, and
Which
they tried
makes sense
to.
because of where
Yeah,
it fell. Like that kind of made sense. That didn't like it almost seemed like it was kind of like it could have been very like cliche, like, oh, I found the thing I lost earlier. But like the way she like where it dropped and everything kind of makes sense that it would be all the way down there because they were at the bottom finally. So I don't know.
okay, so and then they try to break the hot break the ice or the rock or whatever. I'm surprised both Alora and Willow didn't try to like co-op with their powers and make a hole. They just anyway, but regardless. But then we cut to back to Eric again. He's gone full circle. I'm not sure if this is the same city or another city, because the girl's in that city, the one he ends up meeting at the end of the episode. So it might just be another city that looks the same as the previous one.
That's what I was thinking because either he went in a circle or it's just another city that looks exactly like not exactly the same but the same infrastructure.
And he drinks this water from this thing, which looks like the golden water that
Hmm.
his sister was trapped in.
Yeah,
And then he starts
no
hearing a
golden showers
voice.
for him.
Yep, and then he starts hearing a voice, and he follows the voice, and it's this young lady who's trapped behind bars, and he doesn't know whether to believe her or not. And Eric is starting to look a little bit malnourished as well.
Hmm.
I mean, he looks like he's tired. He looks like he's hungry, and we'll see what happens with him. But then the episode ends. Is he going to rescue this girl? Does he believe that she is who she says she is? It's all up in the air at the moment. Is it a trap?
It's a
Yeah,
trap.
and that's how
Taking it
the
all
episode
back to
ends.
Akbar.
I have to say this was a really packed episode. Like this was almost an hour long. This
I was about to
episode.
say this episode was longer because I put off watch. I've been off today, but I've been getting a lot of things done. I'm like, it's only 45 minutes, 40-minute episode, and then I went and sat down at like at about an hour and a half before showtime. Because I'm like, I'll just watch it really quick and it'll be fine, like 40 minutes. It's like 59 minutes with all the intros and credits and stuff. I'm like, shit. I'm like, it
You think so?
figures.
It's a good thing. Daniel Wan thinks that the woman might be a young Bavmorda. Now, that would be good. Now, obviously, Bavmorda doesn't need to pretend to be hiding behind bars, but she might be doing it for the sake of gaining his trust for some reason. And then, if that's the case, she wouldn't necessarily kill Eric because Eric is her grandson. And yeah, it's going to be interesting how that all pans out as well. So yeah, it's just unusual all around, in my opinion. But an okay episode. Maybe I'm just getting used to this show, and that could be it. And maybe my expectations are a bit low. But yeah, because there's a lot of stupidity in this episode, like every other episode of Willow. But
It's got a little
I
bit of
thought,
that 80s. It's got a little bit of that 80s like tongue-in-cheek humor to it, which isn't bad sometimes, but if that's all you get, like that kind of humor, then it just gets very old very quick in my opinion.
I think what it is though, like sometimes if you want to try to make a Willow series, a Willow film into a series, you've got to do the series justice by making it look like it's part of that film. like the cinematography of this show doesn't make it feel like I'm watching like like it comes from that movie, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
The shots, the angles, it just doesn't feel the same. It feels more narrow and condensed, whilst the cinematography of the movie Willow had a much wider aspect to it, and that's why it doesn't feel the same. Um, I'm going to mark it now, as you've already put down the poll. Excuse me. I'm going to give this a very generous 7 out of 10. What say you?
I agree. I'm going to give it a generous 7 out of 10. I feel like it was better. I feel like it's getting better. I feel like there's a little bit more to this episode, although my issues with Kit are more, I don't even want to say writing wise. I mean, I guess it would be writing wise. I think that Alora Dannon is kind of picking up more of Kit's slack in this episode, where Kit's now becoming more just annoying doe-eyed dingleberry. I don't know. But generous 7.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think Christian Slater definitely helped this episode, even though he was just as stupid as everything else. But I think his star power benefited this episode for sure. Um, it does seem though that when it comes to like the big name actors, um, who are associated with this show, they tend to be playing smaller roles. Like Joanne Wally, like where is she? I mean, she was in the first couple of episodes, and we haven't seen her since.
I don't think we're gonna see. I mean, they're on their journey, so once they left the
Yeah,
castle, it's like I don't. We're not gonna go. We're not going back to the castle unless something happens at the castle. I think we'll see her towards the end, like whatever's happening, kind of maybe will kind of affect what's going on at the castle, so we will see her again. But I mean, it doesn't surprise me we haven't seen her again. It's not like she's on the adventure, you know.
it's tropes. It's little tropes as well. Like because they brought Christian Slater in, they put Graydon to one side to fit Christian Slater in, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So Graydon goes with the trolls, and he's off our screens for most of the episode.
Well, I mean,
Whilst
episode 4 was very great and heavy, which I mean, I
I'm just saying, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just saying though that it's a trope. Like, but as far as the filmmakers and the television makers are concerned, you can't have too many people on screen and all of that. You have to give them things to do. So the best thing to do is to get rid of one and for the other. You know,
yeah,
it's
and
a
then he
bit
just
like
randomly shows back up when they're all together again.
I see these tropes all the time. It's a bit like X-Men 3. Like, they free Juggernaut and all of these guys, and then they get rid of Mystique. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Mhm.
just it's such a trope, and in filmmaking because they just like the writers just can't feel like they can somehow squeeze all of these different characters on our screens and give them dialogue and give them something to do. So it's just best to get rid of one for the other.
Well,
You
but
know?
also I feel like Jade took a back seat in this episode too. I mean, not that she was gone, but she was the one that was kind of in the background, not doing anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
Graydon,
I
they just
agree.
kind of got rid of completely for a while. So
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, they got rid of him to accommodate Christian Slater's character, so he'd be more on the screens. But
yeah,
eventually, once they had the big fight at the end, and he ends up coming back and giving Willow his wand. Obviously, Allagash is now left that group, and Graydon has rejoined that group. I always knew he would. I was never worried about him. I was just wondering when he was going to come back. So yeah, it's these sort of tropes and stuff like that. I see it so often in Hollywood now. It does piss me off, but
yeah,
it's just how it is, I guess. Like that's why one of the reasons why I like things like Infinity War, like that moment with Spider-Man where he's on the spaceship, and then Tony Stark sends him back home, but he's not back home. He's still with them. It would have been more tropey if he did go back home, and we wouldn't got and that was Spider-Man's moment, and we wouldn't see him anymore. But no, he's still part of the crew, and it's those little things that make things like Infinity War so fucking good because they go against the trope. So
Well, but I mean, then you did have care, and I mean, you're right. Like the trope of them just sending them back to Earth. But I mean, then you do have and it can be written that way that you have characters that take a back seat. Drax, Mantis. I mean, Mantis not so much. Mantis had a pretty big part, but Drax. Um, who else was in
Yeah,
there? Drax took a back seat. Rocket and
and
Groot
Groot
kind
and
of.
all of that, but yeah, but along with they're still there though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they're
no, that's what
still,
I meant.
yeah,
Like, yeah, that's
you know. But anyway, but regardless, it, I'm kind of happy to a degree that this show's almost coming to an end now as well, because I do feel the end game is coming, but I don't know what the end game is. Is it just to rescue Eric? You know, and then what? You know what I mean? You
I
know,
mean, I kind of want them to open up this world a bit and just kind of. I wish we had more like I wish we had more of like a Lord of the Rings type map so we could kind of see where they're at on their journey. And I know that's copying Lord of the Rings, but at the same time, in this fantasy aspect, like you know, uh, to- topographical like association is actually a big thing with like fantasy stuff. Like you want to see where the mountain ranges are, where the fields are, like like that Lord of the Rings style. You want to see all those topographical, you know, things. Like I want to see like how far they actually are away from the shattered sea. Like I wish we had a map and it's like okay, the shattered sea's right here, and it kind of shows this little whatever and the shattered seas way over here, and then you've got like the mines of Moria, which I know that's not what's it called, the prison of Skillet,
but
whatever, I don't know.
I mean, they were in Skellin. I mean,
Yeah,
but they were the prisoners. And by the way, talking about that, like regarding that lady's Scorpio or whatever the fuck her name is, like they just let her go on her own
yeah,
to rescue
she
all
just
the
fucked
other.
right off as soon as they got
But
in
on
there.
her own though, that's what I'm saying. Like, why she should have some more of her own people with her. I know she's a very capable fighter. We saw what she was like against Jade, but still, she was on her own, and she's going to rescue everyone from her village on her own. It's like, okay, fair enough. You know, like it's these moments in the show that I think to myself is just a bit stupid, and we get a lot of that stupidity throughout the series. Really, it can be very illogical, very poorly edited at times, and some of the humor and characters just don't land. You know,
Hmm.
I did very much appreciate the fight scenes, because that's what we want from from our sword and sorcery stuff. We want people getting their heads chopped off. We want a few throats to be slit. No blood, by the way, coming out of these. No black blood or nothing coming out of these trolls. Fantasy writers try too hard to give us an epic in a short time. It comes off as too many people to care about. Willow and the new Witcher series both suffer from this. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's very hard, I think, to do fantasy. I mean, my favorite fantasy is still Conan the Barbarian. By the way, I mean, obviously, I like the Lord of the Rings, but I almost put them in a different realm, so to speak. I look, I know, I put Lord of the Rings as fantasy, and I put Conan the Barbarian as sword and sorcery.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah, I
say.
mean,
I feel like those are two way different things, especially like in the character dynamic, because Conan is more of a one man army, and I know there's other characters in there, but he's kind of his one man army. Whereas Lord of the Rings is kind of about a group of people. Like
yeah.
Conan, and I would say honestly, if there's a pendulum, Lord of the Rings and like Conan are like not bad, but they're polar opposites. Like they're of the pendulum, like the
I
pendulum
know,
thing.
and I also put them on the rating scale as well. Like, sword and sorcery is more adult orientated, while fantasy, I think, is more family orientated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and stuff like that, because like some of the kills in Conan, like the way people getting murdered, and the blood just spilling everywhere, like somebody throwing wine out of a glass. It's just
Hmm.
beautiful stuff. I fucking love it. But it would have been nice to see maybe a little bit of black blood coming out of these trolls, but Disney won't go there. I mean, here they go, look, here, we're pretty cool, aren't we? We let Borman chop off this guy's head. But whilst you're slicing throats and you're not seeing an ink of blood coming out of anyone, it's like, come on. Conan versus Highlander. Yeah, well, yeah, Highlander is very unique. You know, Highlander is one of, I have to admit, when I first saw Highlander as a kid, I had no idea what the fuck I was watching, but it makes total sense now. You know, it's one of the most cleverest concepts in film, and unfortunately for the original movie, it was done in a way that you couldn't have a sequel, but they somehow tried to shoehorn a sequel. And Highlander 2 is one of the most atrocious things ever. Highlander 3 was a little bit clever, but it still became basically a carbon copy of the first one. The Highlander the series, which is kind of set in a different universe, that was smarter because they weren't the last ones. There were still many more immortals to kill, which was a lot better in my opinion, a lot better way of doing things. So yeah. Anyways, I think we babbled on enough. So yeah, we all gave it sevens. I'm not sure what Daniel Vance gave it, but hopefully
Well,
he
the
liked.
chat gave it 20% gave it a 1 through 5, and then 80% gave it a 6 through 7 out of 5 votes. So if you haven't voted, please vote. But yeah, speaking of voting, should we transition into what's happening tomorrow?
I think you should lead the charge on this. Well, I was just
All
about to
right.
bring it up.
So tomorrow is going to be our Golden Glasses Awards. It is our big live shindig where tomorrow night, 7 Eastern Standard Time. Technically, it is on the 30th at midnight for the UKians over there. Um, but it is but we are doing the Golden Glasses Awards, which we've had votes and polls all over the place. We are polled out at this point. All the polls are on our community tab here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, where you guys can vote for a lot of our People's Choices stuff, as well as we have all of us as contributors here on the channel have voted for behind the scenes a lot of the best and worst of 2022, best and worst movies, best and worst games, best and worst, and we're not like, the game awards, and we're not like the Emmys, and there's no nerdies, so whatever, we no holds barred. We tell our opinions, and we will be announcing all the winners. We've kind of picked out. We've all kind of nominated something, and then we all voted on it. Well, I think some of us nominated, and then everybody voted. And I think we've got some really good and surprising winners coming tomorrow. I'm actually pretty excited to kind of get into it and talk about it. But it's your typical award show, but done by people that aren't paid for it, and we are a lot funnier than they are, I think, maybe, sort of. You never know what's going to come out of Zam's mouth. So I'm sad I didn't make the artwork as witness protection. Make the artwork as a witness protection person, just black silhouette. You know what, Daniel Vance? Next year I can make that happen. Next year I can make it happen. Happy New Year. Commodore Boone will be there. Well, then, great. I'm glad you're going to be here, Commodore Boone, because you are on the cover art, my friend. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, if you see this cover art, man, Chai Bell's on Twitter. She does a lot of my cover art for. She does a lot of my cover art for all of my stuff on my gaming channel, Moktos Gaming. Shameless self plug. But yeah, she did a fantastic job at kind of encapsulating everybody. But it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. We've put a lot of work into it, and I think we're just going to have a good time with it. Zam, you got anything to add?
yeah. First of all, just as Jim, if Jim is still with us, join me tomorrow, Jim. We're going to do a recording. Unfortunately, because of the Golden Glasses Awards tomorrow, we're going to have to do a recording of Project. It'll just be myself and Jim, as Cheetah won't be available for that. So we'll do that early, and that'll probably come out a lot earlier than usual. So join us for that, and yeah, and then Golden Glasses. Can't
Go
wait for
vote.
that.
If you haven't voted yet, go to the community tab and vote.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, to everyone out there in YouTube land, join us tomorrow for the Golden Glasses, as well as our recording of Prodigy. We'll be then on Friday we're doing a National Treasure. I look forward to that. And then once again, you'll be seeing us for all other Manister stuff which will come in between. I was going to do a review of Glass Onion, but I've decided to back out on that. I do recommend watching it, by the way, if you like who's done it. But just to quickly talk about Glass Onion as I'm on here, overrated. Like these Ryan Johnson who done it, they are fun to watch. but people, the way they fawn over them, they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's fun to watch. You know, it's good to see people like Dave Bautista being a major Hollywood actor now. Who would ever thought that would happen? You know, and it's good to see him in roles like this. I mean, I give him credit over The Rock. The Rock only does action films majority of the time. Dave Bautista, his roles are very varied, and I very much appreciate that. It shows you how good of an actor he is, because he's in the Who's Done It. There's nothing actiony about that at all whatsoever. So he's showing his acting chops. Nevertheless, I'm going to let Cheeto wrap this up.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here today for our Willow review. We will see you tomorrow for all of the stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. And please, if you haven't already, please give this video a like, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you've kind of maybe sort of heard of. We will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.